We're going to have a technical committee meeting tonight, which I guess is a little hard to do without our technical committee chairman. So,
well,
maybe we should move on from that to new business. Why don't we do this?
Still have several offices. Everybody knows.
yes, Jack, we are also looking for a webmaster.
We're looking also for a webmaster. I don't believe webmaster is written into the bylaws, but I think I didn't bring a copy of the bylaws with me tonight.
It's right here on the website. We can pull them up at any time. But it can, any director can be made. But yeah, it's the 21st century, so we need to add a webmaster. Somebody's going to be.
We need a webmaster. I'm just wondering how to, couch it in terms of the bylaws.
Yeah. The bylaws are pretty simple. I'll look at that while you continue on and see what it says here.
Okay, well.
Okay, I got it right here, Jack. Excuse me. It says there shall be 4 additional standing committees: technical committee, membership committee, which we don't have, activities committee, and a public relations committee. The president shall appoint chairpersons for each committee. Each chairperson will in turn appoint the other responsible members to serve on his or her committee. The chairperson shall provide no fewer than quarterly reports on committee activities. The Board of Trustees reserves the right to remove committee chairpersons without by majority vote. Regular members does not say anything about adding, but I'm sure we could add any committee we feel appropriate at any time.
With a modification to the bylaws. Why don't we do this? The 4th one you said was public relations?
Public relations, yep.
So how about if we let the public relations person be the webmaster person?
Well, we can discuss that during our next board meeting, which will be in a couple of days. I'd put that on the agenda.
Okay, question. Justin, did we not, was I correct in here? That we were to have a technical committee report or a technical committee meeting tonight, or was that the 9th?
9th.
9th. Okay.
Isn't that the same question? Isn't that the same night as the board meeting?
And that's what I'm trying to get squared away in my head.
Okay.
It's a little scrambled at the moment.
That is the same. We are having technical committee. We have not set the time, but it was for the 9th. The time for the board meeting is 7 o'clock on the 9th.
Okay.
So we need to set a time for the technical committee. It's either before or after the actual board meeting.
Does anyone have any contact with Ben to get him?
He's
Yeah, can you tell? Date of the night.
Ben, are you on the meeting, on the Zoom meeting here tonight?
I am. Ben is unmuted now, so maybe he'll respond to you.
Yeah, I just joined. What's going on?
We'd like to confirm.
Was there a question for me? I just joined. I had sent an email
We
yesterday
can't hear
saying
you.
I may not be able to make the meeting at all, but not sure if anybody got my email from yesterday.
You have your phone set up where you have a PTT button to talk.
Yeah, Ben, the question was, we have a board meeting at 7 o'clock scheduled for the ninth,
It's on your screen,
and we
the little
also,
red button.
have, was gonna do a technical committee meeting. What would be a good time for you, Ben, to have the technical committee meeting? Either
Right after the board meeting.
directly after, that will be great. So,
So we'll just make it all one run-on meeting.
okay, that works for me, if it works for everybody else.
So that is Friday night at 7. This Friday at 7.
Immediately after the board meeting, that starts at 7. I have it recorded.
All right, I'm just making sure it's in my calendar so I get back to the hotel in time. And then I'll send out a meeting invite on Zoom.
Business.
I'm gonna make it all one meeting so we don't have to stop one and start another and things like that. I'll go ahead and make it for like an hour and a half just to.
Okay. Interested in knowing about, anyone have recommendations or ideas for an activity for the club for February besides meetings?
We could do another Parks on the Air thing. That would be fun. We already did Winter Field Day.
Yeah. Well, our president has recommended that we try to do monthly activities, and I think that's not a bad goal.
I concur. Yeah, why don't we try another Parks on the Air event? Any particular park anyone like to go to? Fort Caroline, maybe?
Yeah, it's a lot closer than Niagara Falls. Fort Caroline's a really interesting spot. It's a national monument.
Yep, but they got an area there that you can go in and there's a kind of a picnic table and a grass area to the side there. I don't know if they'll want us like up on the fort putting antennas and stuff, but anywhere on the property is considered valid for the purposes of Parks on the Air. And we don't even have to do a Parks on the Air. It can just be a w4rng, special event. I don't know. Whatever we
So
want
what
to
do you
call
say
it.
let's see, so you have the equipment, correct, Ben?
Equipment's in my garage. If anybody ever needs the equipment and I'm not here, I can remotely open my garage. So
Can we designate a potential date for this activity? Anybody looking at a calendar? Let me see if I can get one going here. There's a calendar.
thinking the 24th, maybe.
24th is a Sunday.
So Saturday.
Saturday.
I feel like
I
we
am
would probably get the most participation on a Saturday or a Friday afternoon, maybe. I don't know.
I'm betting on, I'm thinking the 24th like 10 or 11 in the morning till 3 or 4 in the afternoonish, so we could do hot dogs or hamburgers for lunch at noon, more or less. And
Yeah.
parks on.
I don't think I'll be able to commit to that entire time frame, but I can definitely get the equipment there at the beginning and set it up and do kind of like we did for Winter Field Day. I can be the starter and someone else can pack it up and take it.
Yeah, nobody has to commit to any, exact time frame. It's just a matter of we need to. Okay, so if you're going to be the setup person, Ben, can you check with the park ranger there about
Yeah.
it's first come, first served at picnic tables at the national parks, I suspect.
Yes, I agree.
So if we put a picnic basket on it, we've claimed one.
There you go.
And at 10 o'clock in the morning, we'll probably be the first ones to do so, or 11 even probably. I suppose.
Yep. And we can put a email blast out and I'll if we make that decision, does Fort Caroline sound good? That's the only other one that we haven't been to that's kind of somewhat in the area without getting pretty out of
SOT.
town.
Yeah, yeah, Fort Caroline sounds great. They're it's on the water, so people like the water want to see sailboats or boats going by. They can do that. They can bring the kids with them. Like you said, Ben, it has some historical value to it. Some people may have never visited the park. And if we have somebody bring some charcoal and some hot dogs, I'm sure they have grills at the park. They can do hot dogs and buns and ketchup and mustard, and bring out the kids and make a family outing of it.
Okay, let me suggest that Ben be in charge of setting up the equipment and claiming the space. And then the next person come along kind of be, or let me suggest anyway, that the next person come along, be more oriented toward getting some food going, say. Who's going, I'll be in town on the 24th, as from what I can tell. Anybody else want to volunteer to bring hot dogs and somebody buns and somebody a chest
Well,
of ice
I
and
will
drink?
I'll give him a call tomorrow and get some of the details. As I'm looking now, I don't see anything that says you can't have a grill or can't cook out. Um, there's a picnic table, but I'm looking at their amenities and there's nothing that says grills or anything like that. So, like a city park would have.
So
These,
maybe before we get too far into that, we should just get a check
yeah,
back from you, Ben, on what you find out.
okay, yep.
But that would be kind of the goal that I would hope that we could do conceivably.
Yeah.
There are actually a number of
I
trails out
agree.
from the main lodge, I guess you might say, where the museum is, down to Spanish Lake and hither, thither, and yon. I bet we can. We'll figure out something, I suspect. Justin, beg your pardon? Well, I'm thinking approximately 10 in the morning until 2 or 3 in the evening, afternoon, more or less. And it
I'm
doesn't
also
have to be that any one particular person that is necessarily there for the whole time frame, but if we're going to have somebody there, that would be good.
I'm
If
also
Ben sets
going.
up the equipment, someone else needs to be there to take it down and take it home.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to leave the equipment unattended. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, if have to, Ben can take the equipment with him when he leaves.
Yeah, if he had to. If nobody else showed up, Ben.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but we can still be like it doesn't have to be radio equipment there. I mean, we just have to get together, the club getting out and doing something.
We can hit some repeaters from there with handy talkies.
Exactly. So Ben,
That's 70 feet out above the sea level at that point.
you're almost underneath the Dane Point Bridge there. So
Yeah,
Bang
that
tune.
repeater doesn't work though.
Ah, ah, ah.
That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah. Well, our remote works.
The remote does work, but will 7.6 get back to your handheld in Fort Caroline?
Well, there's always 315.
You're saying the
That's what I said.
seven,
That repeater doesn't work.
you're saying the 7.6 is not working?
No, I'm saying 315 doesn't work
Yeah, no, I mean, we got a remote for 7.6 on a Dames Point, and the transmitter will definitely get back to Fort Caroline from downtown.
on a handheld.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
No, okay.
absolutely. I mean, the receiver's on Dames Point, the transmitter's on Nemours transmitting out in 7.6. It's definitely transmitting to Fort Caroline.
Oh,
Absolutely.
okay. I guess I underestimated it.
Well, it transmits to my house, and I'm on the south side. I'm further than Fort Caroline from downtown, and you're receiving at your house, Ben. So
Well, at any rate, handy talkies could be a
Yeah.
fallback in case we don't want to
Yeah.
set up a whole bunch of equipment.
yeah, we are
I was
talking
just
about
gonna do a simplex frequency for a talk-in or something like that, but that's fine.
yeah, but I mean 7.6 is working. We got a receiver on Dames Point. We got a transmitter on Nemours for 7.6. Nothing to do with a 315. And that
Let's not
system
get
works.
too deep. Let's not get too deep into all the details since we've got
Yeah.
a technical committee scheduled for the 9th.
Yeah. Well, that was scaring me when we're saying that the repeater's not working.
No, I meant 315. The
Yeah.
whole
Well,
time I meant 315.
yeah. Okay.
Okay. So anyway, February, shall we think about a tentative one for March? That's Valentine's Day in March, the 14th. That's doubtless not a Saturday. Let's see what March looks like.
We can discuss that at the March meeting.
Yeah, we can do that. Okay.
Everybody's schedule changes. So we'll be
All right,
close.
we're 7:42 p.m. at the moment. Is there anything else pressing for the business meetings that we need to bring up under old or new business? Or can we move on to a program for a few minutes?
Nothing here.
Yeah, I have nothing.
Hearing nothing, we have special speaker tonight from a remote correspondent from area of John Pennekamp State Park, where he's got his wife snorkeling with sharks or something. What were you saying about all that, Daniel?
I don't know about the sharks, but we are down here in John Pennekamp. We're volunteering at the state parks, so we're contributing our time. We met a lady today at a volunteer appreciation event up in Bill Bagsby up Biscayne Bay in Miami State Park up there. And this lady has put in 10,000 volunteer hours. I did the math on that, and that's like 8 years, no vacation, 40-hour weeks. Can you
And she
imagine?
she
Can you?
commutes there from Biscayne Bay or Biscayne?
I don't know where she's done the hours at, but she volunteered 10,000 hours through the state park system of Florida.
Mhm. Oh, I see.
So yeah, that's 8 years, no vacation, 52 weeks a year to equal 10,000 hours. Well, that's 24 hours a week because that's what you're required. Well, most people do volunteer. So 24 hours a week for 8 years with no vacation to equal 10,000 hours. So I thought that was a astronomical feat for somebody to give that much time to the state. And there's
Cool.
other people have done that. We're nowhere near that many hours of volunteering. We might be close to 1,000, 1,500 hours, but you know, it's something that if you enjoy doing it, it's meaningful. It's well, we enjoy doing it. A lot of other people evidently enjoy doing it, and a lot of other people enjoy doing it a lot more than we do.
Daniel, I got a question.
Yes, sir, Jack.
Um, Can you tell us a little bit about your remote operations from there to this place up here behind the spy shop?
Yep. I still operate my local station from my QTH there in Jacksonville. And I do it by my radio. I have an ICOM 9700. And that particular radio has a built-in server. It hooks, that has an Ethernet port on the back of it. And you plug it directly into your Ethernet at your house. And you do some port forwarding on your router. I don't even know if you have to do that. But anyway, once you hook to the internet with your radio, I can access my radio through a laptop, or with the right software, you can do it through a cell phone, and operate my radio, my station at the house. And I also have the antennas I can rotate and elevate up and down, the satellite tracking antennas. And I can operate or control those antennas from my laptop or computer, wherever I'm at in the world, because I use a team viewer which allows me access to a laptop that's running at my home QTH. And that laptop is hooked to a rotor controller through an IP address. And I can actually control that rotor just like I'm sitting at home from anywhere in the world. So I can rotate my antennas around. I can operate my radio. I can change frequencies, channels, modes. And I find it easier to operate my radio through the software remotely than I do the front face of the radio. A good
I
example of
suspect
that.
it sounds to me like having a laptop instead of hauling all that equipment down there, those rotors and antennas and towers, probably beats the heck out of all that.
Yeah. Well, it's an investment. You spend a lot of money setting your stuff up at your home QTH. And if you want to travel or go on vacation, you can't take your tower with you. You can't, it's just not feasible to take that equipment with you. And you're talking about a $2,000 radio, or if you're HF rigs, could be more than that. You don't want to have it bouncing around with you. So I've been out west and cut trips short because I want to get back and play radio. And I started thinking about it, and I said, there's got to be a way that I can play radio and travel. So I'm working on HF. You can do the same thing. You can have HF radio set up where you can remotely operate it from anywhere in the world. And I can have a radio in my RV and be able to operate my station at home. So wherever the conditions are better, I can operate whichever station has the best conditions. All you need is an internet connection. So I can invest $20,000 at the house and go on vacation beforehand, and I can't use my investment. With this new technology in the 21st century we're in, I can invest $20,000 at the house, and I can travel across the country, and I can still play with my investment with it sitting at the house and me being elsewhere, which is a tremendous bonus. It's the best of both worlds. So, it's really interesting how a technology has brought us along over the years, and it's only improving. It's just like these new digital modes. That's why I say this hobby is so interesting, and the facets of what directions you can go, what you can do, what you can learn. We need to get some younger generations in here and teach them how to solder and build simple receivers. It's just, it's fun. And we
Can
got
I
to
ask
start.
you?
Yes, sir.
I got a question or two. Maybe someone else wants to ask a question first. Justin? How do you integrate your Starlink with that? Justin is asking. What is Starlink anyway?
Okay. Well, while we're traveling, you can use your cell phone. As long as you have cell service, you can tether your cell phone to your computer. And once you do that, that actually gives your internet access to your computer because you're using your cell service. Most cell services limit how many gigabytes you can use per month. Or if your app's on your phone itself, you can access the internet. You can use a program on your phone to access your radio.
And that's called
But
Starlink?
no, Starlink is a completely separate, it is a antenna. It's rectangular shape, about I don't know, 12 inches by 18 inches square. They call it a dish, but it's square. It's not like a dish anymore. Um, and you set it out on the ground with a clear view of the sky, plug it in, and this thing automatically rotates and aligns itself and finds the satellites, and it actually gives you internet through multiple satellites at the same time.
How much does that cost?
It's residential is $120 a month, and the guy that does the Teslas, no, yeah,
Yeah, it's the
Elon
same
Musk?
company.
yep, Elon Musk has been putting these satellites up in the sky for several years now, and he has like a network. I mean, they're like everywhere, and so there's like a fishnet, you could say, up in the sky and outer space of all these individual satellites that this satellite dish receives the signals from. So it works anywhere around the world. And if you don't have cell service, you just set this thing up and you have instant internet.
So they're
It's
going to be able to stream the YouTube of this meeting off of there?
I could definitely have a live view of me sitting here in front of my computer, operating my station, Skyping at the same time, streaming what I'm doing. Easily be done. The technology of our hobby and the new technology out here is just amazing. And it's changing quicker now than what it did 10 years ago. It's we got to get on board with it. If we don't, we're going to be left behind as an
So Justin, does that
organization.
give you an answer to kind of the question you were raising, or you want to add more to your question? Okay. Anyone else have questions about Daniel's setup? I got one. Who's the most interesting contact you've made through all that stuff, Daniel?
I don't know if it's anybody particular. I just
No,
enjoy.
excluding January 6th of whatever year that was.
No, it's nice to be able to talk to all your buddies back at home, just like you're sitting at home, but yet you're away from home. And back a couple of weeks ago, I was talking, and everybody's freezing your keisters off up there, and I'm down here, and I'm thinking, well, geez, the coldest it's got here is like 54 degrees. I think I made a good choice to come down here for the winter.
My wife from Northern Iowa, I always tell her I'm moving to Costa Rica.
But yeah, it's fun. I mean, I can talk to everybody just like I haven't left the house, but yet I'm here in paradise and beautiful temperatures. The haven't seen a lot of sunlight. It's been overcast a lot of the days. Hadn't rained a lot. And it's a little cooler than what normal, but it's fun to be able to talk to everybody at home, just like I'm sitting at home, but yet I'm out here wearing a t-shirt. Everybody at home is bundling up. I'm worried about my air conditioners overworking themselves. And everybody at home is running heaters.
Have you made satellite contacts? You talked about the satellite antenna steering and all that.
I have not. I That's something you just don't jump into and know how to do right off the bat.
It can be overwhelming.
Yeah, I've got to do some studying and practicing and reading and learning. There again, there's so much you can do in this hobby that it's overwhelming if you let it be.
Well, that leads me to a segue. I don't want to cut you short or anything, but we're coming up on 8 o'clock here, and they usually want us out of here about 8:30ish. Anyway, I'm thinking of trying a new satellite endeavor myself this year. I'm beyond thinking about it. I've been working on it, and that is moon bounce, and it involves contact with KJ4CX. He's already done it from Jacksonville to Japan on 1.2 gigahertz with an antenna involving a whole bunch of coils of wire that are right-hand circular polarization. And I discussed with him doing a program on that here for range, and he's not quite ready, but he's interested in doing that when he is ready. That's Curtis Robinson. I got another fellow talk about some of the program ideas for upcoming months. I'd like to hear some suggestions from the group. I've got another fellow with whom I've communicated back and forth. Met him in the parking lot at Costco. He walked up to me and said, "Well, you must be a ham radio operator." And, I'm always tempted to say, "How'd you guess?" Anyway, he turned out to be he goes by Jonathan. He turned out to be the United Nations communications officer in Afghanistan during the time of the weeks leading up to the exit of the United States forces out of Afghanistan. And I think he'll have some interesting stories to tell about trying to communicate amongst mountains and all the rest. But that Starlink thing ought to be pretty useful to a lot of people, I would think, including the terrorists, no doubt. If they cough up the $120, I'm sure Elon Musk will take it. At any rate.
Yeah, I was reading an article here or presentation, and I don't know if it's public or if I could use it. I'm going to try to get the owner's permission, but it's modern 2-meter EME and weak signal operation. And I've always considered EME, which is Earth, Moon, Earth, using the moon as basically a reflector. And if people's not familiar with it, it's you're bouncing your signal off the moon, and you're talking about the ultimate DX communication. That transmission will be 500 million miles?
Well, it's 250,000 miles to the moon and another 250,000 back. So it was 500,000 miles round trip.
Yep.
Unless it's a super moon, and then it's about 20,000 miles closer.
Yeah.
Which would shave 40,000 miles off the trip.
Yeah. So
you can do that with a technician license.
So you're talking an ultimate DX.
Well, there's one DX that beats that now. It was written up in QST last month or month before, and that's asteroid bounce.
Yep. That's even harder to do. But what blew me away is EME and weak signal operation. Most people that work EME, some of these stations, one of the larger ones, have 24 directional antennas phased together. And they're
That's
probably
what Curtis
running,
said.
yeah, and they're running maximum 1500 watt. This
Well,
is,
Curtis says he runs about 150 watts, but
yeah,
he's phased enough antennas together to have more than 1,000 watts effective radiated power, and
Yeah.
then a lot of gain on the receive that's coming back too.
yeah. But
He's
this
also
is,
changing away from the circular of the coiled antennas to crossed Yagis, which is what I always used to play with. For this reason, you could, with the circular coiled antennas, your polarization is fixed. You don't have any way to change it. If you have crossed Yagis, then you're able to cause some switching back and forth between either vertical or horizontal or right-hand circular polarization or left-hand circular polarization. So you can actually play with it during a communication to take advantage of whatever is working best amongst the four possibilities.
yeah, my antennas, you can do uh, right hand or left hand circularization, polarization. Um, the thing that got me though is the weak signal operation. So this is telling me you can do this with your mobile radio with 50 watts.
Absolutely.
You can do
And
it with
then,
a HT. Um, and that's amazing off the EME. Now I can understand it off of a satellite. They're much closer. But this is EME work, weak signal operation. So that's
oh yeah.
really, really blew me away because I didn't know there was such a thing. I knew most people really high gain, lots of power to do
Well, I
it
can tell you on
successfully.
my favorite satellite is Oscar 7, the one that took a 20-year vacation. And I used to set a IC 402, a 432 megahertz transceiver that was crystal controlled, but we pulled the crystal either plus or minus 200 kilohertz to cover the whole satellite band with a 7-inch telescoping antenna on top of the car. And when the bird would come at near overhead pass at 2,500 miles away, it wouldn't even budge the S meter, but it was loud and clear Q5 copy on single sideband.
Yeah, it's interesting though. And the EME, it's the moon is a lot easier to track. It's a much bigger object and moves much slower than what a satellite does. The
Most of us,
EME work is different than satellite work. Um, it's like I said, there's so many different aspects of our hobby. There's something for everybody to get
yeah.
into.
Somebody else want to tell about some of the communication stuff that they've done anytime recently that they want to talk about, or it doesn't have to be recently. Justin? The channel A. Did he sound bubbly? I still remember my first Echolink contact decades ago. And here I am on the 7.6 repeater here in Jacksonville, and some guy comes on and says he's in Tennessee. And I said, "You're where?" How about you, um, Clinton?
Well, I mean, so far since I'm home on VHF, UHF right now, it's pretty neat that I can talk to Reggie in Australia, Western Australia,
Friday nights?
Friday night technical from Jacksonville.
Or the Flying Pig Net?
I talked to him prior to the net last Friday, talking just me and him. Pretty neat.
Doesn't he have a deep broadcast voice?
Kind of good talk.
I don't know. Paul, you still there? Toledo, are you there?
Yep. You call me Jack? That's Paul.
Yeah, Paul, we were just interested in hearing from you.
Oh, Paul does all kinds of satellite stuff.
Yeah. What's the topic?
Oh, we've been kicking around communications that have been happening of recent times or of interesting communications that have happened whenever. And
Well, I worked Serena when she was on board the space station when she was it was last summer, I guess, when they were passing over Florida and Alabama, and it was in kind of a tribute for the folks that were at the AMSAT symposium in Huntsville. A
Cool.
buddy of mine gave me a heads up. He said, "Hey, you might want to be listening to the downlink on ISS." I'm like, "I'm busy." He goes, "No, you really want to do this." And so I was able to talk to Serena when she flew overhead. And she said, "Hey, to Florida." That was kind of cool. I got a little QSL card from NASA for that.
145, 850 megahertz FM.
I, I think so. I think it was 145. It might have been 800 that when she picked up the
800
mic.
is the lower band edge of the satellite subband on 2 meters, 145, 800 to 14600. Would you
Yeah, I have
believe
to go
they
look at
got
the
something
QSL
like
card. But
11
anyway,
different?
that was kind of cool though. You're just talking about some
Absolutely.
wacky stuff that you could do with a technician's license. You can talk to astronauts. And now they've got the repeater turned on the space station and talking about loud and clear. I have worked the space station. Well, I've heard it loud and clear with an HT with no with not even an arrow antenna, just with a rubber duck, which would really surprise me. But yeah, you can HT outside when the space station goes overhead and hear the downlink on the repeater.
And
The
I
only
can't even
problem
hit
I
it with a
have with working the
4 element arrow
space,
antenna.
the problem I have with chasing the space station is the longest pass they're going to have. They're in such a low orbit that 9.5 minutes is about as a direct overhead pass is about as long a time period as you're going to have is 9.5 minutes of horizon to horizon.
Yep, you're exactly right. It's so low, it's moving so fast, and well, I guess they're all moving the same speed, but it's so low. You have such a short window. RS-44 is on the side of a Russian cargo booster that is really strong, and it is up about twice as high. So it's got like a 22-minute window when it passes overhead. So a lot of folks have gotten some pretty good DX off of RS-44, but that's going to require sideband equipment and making up for Doppler on sideband as it
Another
moves.
interesting thing I've tried on the satellite is the Russian half of the International Space Station slow scan television. And you can uplink or downlink strictly with your phone, as long as you got a Wi-Fi connection in the dash of the car in front of Publix where I work, shop all the time. Takes two different programs, one to uplink and one to copy the downlink.
Yeah, yeah. I try to get the arrow hooked up to the HT when they're doing that, just because I like to collect them. And if you collect like 3 or 4 out of the series, they'll give you a nice certificate. So, but yeah, slow scan TV off the space station is easy to do, like you said. Robot 36 is the Android program. I don't know what they call it for the iPhone, but literally you can get slow scan, hooking or holding the HT up to the phone, and it decodes it while you're watching it. That's pretty cool.
Yep. Just audio link from the speaker, the radio over to the Android phone with the software in it. Clint, on UHF VHF, what's that Australian contact is pretty darned interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
How about you, Billy Griffin? Your turn. How about a long time ago? They had radios back then? So how do you tune it? No, he was Air Force. And when you did that, Billy's talking about the Mars station in Vietnam, military affiliate radio service. Did you ever work the Barry Goldwater station in Arizona? That thing sucker was manned almost 24/7, I think. Yeah. You ever work the Cecil Field from Vietnam? Because they had a heck of a Mars station with rhombics and all kind of antennas.
Yeah.
Cool. How about oh yeah. Well, I guess our time is just about up. Anybody else have, it's 8:11. By the time we start turning off lights and everything, we'll be lucky to get out here by 8:30.
How many
Anybody
folks
else?
are on site, Jack? How many people there at Hogan?
1, 2, 3, 4 of us.
All right. Well, I'm sorry I couldn't make it the day I got back with the kids from baseball practice, had to eat dinner, and then I realized it was 7 o'clock. So, but we'll try to make it next time.
Look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, really quick, there was some activity on the 6-meter repeater today, so I was happy to hear that. Somebody coming around 295 toward the Buckman Bridge. I was able to talk to him briefly on the 6-meter machine, so that was nice.
I got a handy talkie here that does 6 meters now, right here by the podium. It's
And
an
you should
old
see if you
icon.
can key it up when you go outside.
Yeah, I may give it a shot. The only problem is that the top hat is black and it fell off in a black interior SUV, if you know what I
Oh,
mean.
yeah.
So I got to get another one. Then I also have built a 6 meter antenna for my maple tree. So
Nice.
at the condo, just a spider thing with an SO239. Haven't put it out there yet, but probably will. Okay, well, what do you think, guys? We covered our bases. We want to call it a night.
I believe the financial report was probably read before I joined. And everybody
Yeah, it
received
was.
that. Okay.
Daniel had a copy of it apparently.
Yeah, I
I
emailed
don't know. I don't know
everyone.
where he got it, but
Yeah, I think all the president, VP, and board members, believe I emailed everyone last night.
Yeah,
This is
appreciate
not
Yeah.
exactly the financial report, but I've got a checkbook here to write a check
Yeah.
for $300 to Range as a donation from one of our members through the decades.
Well,
Who's in
we will
memory.
gladly accept that. Would they like a tax receipt?
No, don't care.
Okay. My company donated also last uh in December, I think.
Yeah, this person, I've already written a check for 300 to No Fars. Ben, let me double check, make sure I've got your address correct.
All right.
Hang on just a second here.
I'm
Nope,
gonna stop the recording. We're gonna start yelling out my address.
Oh, probably a good idea.
All right.
Maybe I can hold it up to the, well, no, that
Yeah,
wouldn't
I mean, I
work.
think we've finished all the business and all that, so I'll go ahead and stop the recording.
Yeah.
Well, let's adjourn the meeting first. Is there a motion to